I need to be honest with you, God. I keep falling back into this. I tell myself it will be the last time. I pray with sincerity. I feel the weight of conviction. And yet, somehow, I end up here again. It's not that I don't love you. It's not that I don't want purity. It's that sometimes desire speaks louder than devotion. And when it's over, the guilt doesn't scream. It settles in quietly. Sometimes, this is what our minds run through when we battle lust. The hardest part isn't the temptation. It's the moment after, the silence, the shame, and the thought that asks, how many times can I come back and say the same confession? The fear that maybe this struggle means something is wrong with me. But Scripture doesn't ignore this struggle, and God is not surprised by it. In 2 Timothy 2:22, Paul writes, "Flee the evil desires of youth, and pursue righteousness, faith, love, and peace, along with those who call on the Lord out of a pure heart." That word, flee, matters. God doesn't tell us to flee because we're weak believers. He tells us to flee because we were never meant to face this alone. If strength were enough, Scripture would say, stand your ground. If willpower were sufficient, God would tell us to fight harder, but He doesn't. He says run, because lust isn't something we outgrow, it's something we outrun, not by our own strength, but by His. The moment we think we can handle it on our own is usually the moment we fall, because temptation doesn't wait for strength. It waits for tiredness, for loneliness, for isolation, for the moment we stop praying and start trusting ourselves. That's why fleeing isn't failure, it's humility. It's saying, God, we can't do this without you. It's choosing prayer instead of secrecy, dependence instead of pride, grace instead of self-effort. When God says flee, He's not pushing us away. He's pulling us closer, inviting us to run toward His strength instead of testing our own. Paul doesn't just say flee, he says pursue. Flee the evil desires of youth and pursue righteousness, faith, love, and peace. Because lust doesn't only grow from desire, it grows from emptiness, from boredom, from loneliness, from a soul trying to be comforted in the wrong place. Lust promises relief, but it never delivers rest. It offers escape, but it leaves us more restless than before. It takes without giving. It satisfies the body for a moment and starves the soul for much longer. That's why God doesn't just tell us what to run from. He tells us what to run toward. Righteousness, faith, love, peace. Things that actually heal instead of hollow us out. And then Paul adds something we often overlook. Along with those who call on the Lord out of a pure heart. Purity was never meant to be pursued alone. Isolation feeds lust. Secrecy strengthens it, but light weakens it. God often breaks chains through community, through honesty, prayer, accountability, and shared pursuit. Not through hiding, not through pretending, but through walking with others who are also calling on the Lord. So if you've fallen again, listen to this. Your failure did not cancel your calling. Your struggle did not erase your salvation. Your weakness did not drive God away. Conviction draws us closer to Him. Shame tells us to hide, and shame never comes from God. When Jesus encountered sinners, He didn't wait for them to fix themselves. He met them where they were, in the middle of their patterns, in the middle of their mess. He didn't say, "Come back when you're clean." He said, "Follow me." Not perfection, direction. So if you're tired of the cycle, if you're weary of promising and breaking those promises, if you're afraid God is running out of patience, run back to Him. Again, flee what feeds your flesh. Pursue what feeds your soul. Ask for help the moment temptation whispers, not after it wins. Remember, we will never be strong enough on our own, and we were never meant to be, because God's grace meets us not when we prove our strength, but when we admit our need. And even here, especially here, He is still with us.